Hello and welcome to the British Army Music Podcast, brought to you from the home of Army Music, Kneller Hall in London. So the podcast was created as a way for us to connect with musicians from across the country and Commonwealth who are thinking about a career in Army music. Each month we'll have a discussion topic with guest musicians of all ranks and bands from across Army music.
Today's podcast theme is the Queen's Birthday Parade and just general pomp and pageantry in Army music. Yes. We'll be introducing some of our friends from the Band of the Welsh Guards, my favourite Corps of Army music band, to discuss the Queen's Birthday Parade as well as being at the forefront of state ceremonial side of Army music. Looking forward to that. But first, who are we? Who are you?
So just a reminder that I am a Lance Corporal Connor Deacon and I work for the Corps Engagement Team here at Kneller Hall. What does the Corps Engagement Team do? I hear you say.
Not a lot.
No, they do a lot. They do a lot. So we're a small group of Army musicians and we're dedicated to supporting potential applicants and gatekeepers in finding out more about a career in Army music.
And I am Lance Corporal Andy Burkitt, self-appointed principal double bassist and occasional deputy third clarinetist from the Band of the Welsh Guards. We're not serving together at the moment, but Connor and I met in the Band of the Queen's Division and we became best friends forever, and he was my maid of honour, Connor maid of honour at my wedding. We had a marching band.
It was indeed. So since this is the Pomp and Pageantry podcast, I organised a beautiful marching band to greet Andy and her husband Chris as they entered then RAF Henlow, and we paraded them through the whole of the camp.
It was amazing.
And the procession of all of your family and friends was behind the car, wasn't it? So it was
It's the finest procession I've ever seen, because I actually have not done the Trooping the Colour ceremony. I've only seen it on
Neither
telly.
have I.
Have you done it?
I've not. I've seen it on telly. I've been there and followed the Band of the Household Cavalry and followed them to Horse Guards, and then saw some stuff outside Buckingham Palace, which was fantastic, but yet to actually do it. Fanboying, fangirling.
I mean, there's not a lot of call for double bass in a marching band anyway, so I'm a little bit at a disadvantage.
I really feel as if
but
they should.
It is my first one this year, so I'm really excited. Anyway, luckily we have some experts in the Queen's Birthday Parade with us today. So why don't we welcome our guests?
Yes, let's welcome them. So here with us today we have Captain Adrian Beckett, Sergeant Andy Mercer and Lance Sergeant Maria Lacey. Welcome everyone, welcome. So let's tell the audience a bit more about the Queen's Birthday Parade. So sir, can you tell us when your first troop was? What band you were in and what instrument you played?
So, good morning to all of our listeners, and welcome to this short podcast about the Queen's Birthday Parade. Hopefully you've now got the sound level right. So, I am Captain Adrian Beckett. I joined the Band of the Welsh Guards in 1989, and my first Queen's Birthday Parade was in 1991. And I have just last year completed 29 consecutive Queen's Birthday Parade. And I have now retired from that role. And this coming year in 2020, I will have my feet up and I will watch it on the television.
On Telly Box. And can you tell us a little bit about the background to the ceremony and what's involved, what happens on the day, that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Trooping the Colour is when the regiment of the day troop their colour. The colour is a flag. It's a rallying point in times of war and dates back to sort of the 17th century. The Queen's Birthday Parade has been marked since 1750 or 1748 to be exact. And since that date, the Sovereign of the United Kingdom's birthday has been celebrated by Trooping the Colour. Our current Queen, Queen Elizabeth, has attended every year, apart from 1955, when there was a national rail strike, and the Queen's Birthday Parade. I wasn't there. How rude. And it was the following year I started. So she's attended every year. She used to be mounted on a horse called Burmese, but since 1987 she's rode in a carriage, because she has been around for quite some time and she's attended every single one during her reign.
Wow.
And I've had the privilege to be there for 29 of those occasions. It's an incredible day. A lot of hard work goes into it, building up to it. Weeks and weeks of rehearsal. with our fellow musicians and with the Guardsmen and the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery and the Household Cavalry Band and the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment, who are also in attendance. So all in all, there's just over 1,500 troops on parade that day.
So it's a huge group effort in
absolutely
logistical
together.
challenge.
I think it's about 360 of which are musicians. But that as well, we have other agencies look after us. The police are out in force with a few thousand police officers, and I know the BBC, who have been broadcasting the Queen's Birthday Parade for a number of years, have almost 500 people on the ground as well, supporting the broadcast that goes out live to the nation and around the Commonwealth and around the world.
Fantastic. Such a big event. And Andrew, the Welsh are trooping the colour this year, and you are in the Welsh Guards Band. So what does that actually mean?
Well, this year, as you say, the Welsh Guards are trooping the colour, and it's a different regiment will troop the colour in each particular year, just depending wherever they are in the world. And it's kind of rotated around between the Coldstream Guards, the Grenadier Guards, the Scots Guards and the Irish Guards. And this year is the turn of the Welsh Guards again. And that's a massive honour and privilege as a Welsh Guards musician, and that's a real honour for the regiment to troop their colour and to gift their birthday present to Her Majesty the Queen on that very special day.
So we understand that you have quite a specific role in the ceremony itself. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the Welsh Guards Band, we're in the centre of the mass bands, and someone needs to give a little bit of support every now and again to some of the key players in that, and the centre trombonist, which is my role, that's where I find I can give support. So we have a senior drum major, we have a group of drum majors sort of guiding the mass bands through the parade, we have a senior director of music which comes out and conducts the important parts of the parade as well. But it's just to give some extra guidance to the senior drum major and to the senior director of music. There's a signal we have to give as well to change the direction of the mass bands. But it's making sure we kind of stay on track, going in the right direction. And we're
because it's such a massive group of people, isn't it? Even with how many drum majors do you have out of the front kind of doing? Yeah,
and in a normal year we have five drum majors. Sometimes when personnel's maybe a little bit shorter, we've had 3. So it's very difficult for some people within the band to sort of see where they're supposed to be going. So it's just kind of like giving reference points for people and just to try and keep things a little bit stable in the centre.
It's like a sea of bearskins, isn't it? So everyone's just fighting to see what's going on, I guess. So obviously, over to Maria. This is your first troop this year. How are you feeling about that? Is this something you've always wanted to be a part of, essentially?
Yeah, I'm quite excited about it, to be honest, because my mum always had it on the TV growing up. And I think it was when I was 14, I noticed it and actually watched it. And I saw the musicians playing on horseback. So originally I wanted to go to the cavalry band. And I thought, how amazing is that? You get paid to play an instrument. And I'm a big fan of the Queen, so I'm quite excited.
Are you a proper royal fanatic?
A little bit.
It is mad, isn't it, when you see those people that are kind of like mysterious, almost pop star type figures, and they're like literally, like, I don't know if have any of you ever actually met the Queen, like face to face?
Met any kind of royalty, any of you?
No.
I have actually, yes, I have.
Pray tell.
Yes, well, I was back in my younger days in the band. Part of our role, well, my role was to support an army cadet force youth band based in Wales, which were Welsh Guards cadets, and as the Welsh Guards Band we used to support them down in Wales. And after several years of doing that, some considerable amount of time, I was very lucky to be honoured in the New Year's Honours list and was awarded an MBE. So that afforded me the chance to attend
up close and personal.
Yes.
Congratulations once again. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I don't think I've mentioned this for a good hour, but I thought I'd bring it up as the chance presented itself. So, of course, I attended the ceremony, the investiture ceremony, with my family a number of years ago now, but you do have a very short audience with Her Majesty.
Yeah.
And I was slightly taken aback because she knew who I was. I've since learned that I believe that someone tells her as you're approaching here exactly who you are.
Wasn't your reputation preceding you?
In my mind, I thought, well, perhaps she did recognise me, but and she knew that I played on her balcony. I was a violin player at the time in the orchestra of the Welsh Guards, and we used to play at the investitures regularly. So, in fact, myself and Andrew here used to sit on the balcony in the ballroom of Buckingham Palace and accompany many investitures, and we've seen a lot of famous people go through, and of course we've seen most of the members of the royal family, who we will see, of course, on the Queen's birthday parade this year.
So for you two as experienced troopers, can you give myself, Maria and Connor any top tips for surviving troop?
Wow.
Sweets and I don't know, what goes through your mind?
The secrets.
I think the key to any long parade or important high profile parade is to make sure you have a good breakfast. A sausage roll or sausage bat would be perfectly
Or two,
depending
Ketchup
on
or brown sauce?
to have a good breakfast, and actually we have been known maybe to have the odd boiled sweet tucked in our pockets.
Top tip.
For a little bit of a sugar burst should we need it when we get down to Horse Guards. But yeah, it's to stay focused, make sure you have a good breakfast, and keep alert, keep your toes sort of moving around.
Keep your mind alert, isn't it?
Keep your mind alert.
Stop wandering, your mind wandering. It's very difficult to wander if you're startled, easy to wander.
I certainly used to have the odd boiled sweet or two in my early years within the band.
Outrageously.
You've outgrown it now, you've outgrown it.
Well, actually, you find yourself on the front rank, and my role as centre trombone player.
Well, yeah, I guess it's kind of obvious.
It is a little
if
bit,
you're,
but you end up actually making sure that everything is happening that should be happening, and you kind of learn
So
the
you're
parade through that
focused,
way.
yeah.
So your mind's always staying alert.
How do you
that
keep
way.
your mind alert? Do you count anything, or do you...
Well, there's a great big building in front of us,
Oh, right.
and being the Welsh, we're normally the first band on, and we've got about an hour to stand there before anything happens. So sometimes I count the windows on the Admiralty building just to pass the time. So.
Maria, what do you do? So I've heard in other parades, what do you do to kind of keep yourself ticking over?
So my favourite thing to do is think about winning the lottery. And I think about it every time, and it changes every time, and I also change the amount that I win.
So you can actually plan what you can do with your money. Brilliant.
That's incredible. Top tip.
Top tip
Top
from
tip from a non-trooper.
Everyone's going to be doing it.
We'll
That's what's
take
going to be the new wave.
What are you...
I'll be able to do that at home.
Got to be in it to win it. What are you most nervous about doing troop this year? Making sure you get your kit done. I have no idea.
Sorting out your kit, I guess, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we've got to make sure that's all sorted. But we've got inspections prior to it, so should be good.
We go through kind of quite an extensive inspection season prior to the summer season starting proper, where you're inspected by maybe a regimental adjutant and the Major General, making sure that everything's shipshape and ready to go for the summer season and the trooping of the colour.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
Top tips, guys. I feel like a little bit less nervous about my first troop now.
Precisely. I'm going to use every bit of
Tips from
advice.
the experts,
the next time.
including the lottery one. That's brilliant.
The lottery one. The lottery one's great.
So I think we've got time now for our Minute of Music quiz. So you're going to work together as a team if you're up for this. You'll have 1 minute to answer as many music trivia questions as you can. You can pass questions, you can confer with your teammates, and your score will be displayed on our luscious leaderboard. Modelled by my colleague here.
Yes.
So as you can see, the Commonwealth crew,
Spared.
the Commonwealth crew scored 5. The Masterclass Masters also scored 5. So
Break the tie. That is your
that's
goal.
the score to beat.
It's aim for 4. It's aim
I'm just going to aim for 1.
Yes. This could be very embarrassing.
No, it's general music, so it's anything from musicals to a bit of military music to anything else.
So here we go. Hang on, I've just got to. So when you hear this noise, your time will be up.
Bless you.
You have 1 minute. Are you ready? Question
ready.
Master, starting from now.
What carat of gold thread is used to create the state tunics of the Band of the Household Cavalry?
18.
Incorrect. Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, and other famous singers were all the same age when they died. How old was this?
26.
Oh, wrong. Pomp and Circumstance March No. 1 by Sir Edward William Elgar is better known as what?
Land of Hope and Glory.
Correct. About which composer was the 1984 film Amadeus?
Mozart.
Yep. John Williams employs what compositional technique in his Star Wars scores? A. Improvisation. B. Leitmotif. Or C. Scalic passages.
Scalic
Passages.
passage.
Oh, incorrect. How many crotchets are equal to one semi-breathe?
4.
Yeah. Who had the last UK number 1 of 2018 with her single Sweet But Psycho? You can pat.
Madonna.
No, wrong. How old was Giuseppe Verdi when he wrote his Requiem? 50, 60 or 70?
50. It was the semi-brief one that threw me. I was expecting something about like Lady Gaga. What? How many?
It's the tough ones.
That was actually quite tough, wasn't
Do you
it?
want to go through the odds?
Wow.
No.
Okay, so what
Oh, do you
carat
have
of
to?
gold thread is used to create the state tunic to the band that holds a carry? It's actually 9.
9.
Yeah, expense wasn't spent.
Well, I think we should up that.
We should have 18.
Yeah.
So the kind of the age that all these famous singers
27,
kind of
right?
passed 27.
Oh,
I knew
Maria.
that.
you should. Sorry, you should.
got in.
I've got 3 months left. I'm not quite famous, but I'm trying to get through. Yeah, Land of Hope and Glory and Mozart for the Amadeus. So John Williams employs leitmotifs throughout all of his Star Wars scores. So every character has a little musical theme. So whenever you see them, it pops back up again.
There you go.
It was Ava Max for Sweet But Psycho, and Giuseppe Verdi was 60 when he wrote his Requiem.
Requiem.
Requiem. I'm going to go Jonathan Ross.
Requiem.
Go Jonathan Ross.
I like
so
it.
what did the
Schools
Queen's
and the
Troopers?
Doors, Queen's Troopers score 3
Oh,
points.
3.
3 points.
Oh,
dear.
God, the
Spending
shame.
too much time marching.
Yes.
Clearly.
We are now going to answer some audience questions that we've gathered from our social media channels about all things army music. Have you got some questions there?
I do
Connor?
indeed. So we've got Emma from Ipswich, and she is asking us, can you play sport for the army as a musician? Anyone got any experience of sport in the army?
Adrian, I think this is a...
Well, it's one of my
Sir,
stronger points.
should I say so?
One of my stronger points. Yes, you can. You ski, don't you?
Yeah, I ski, yeah.
For the army?
Not for the army,
No.
but
But didn't you set up? So we obviously do sport. So I always like to think that if you can think of a sport, listeners, the army will have a team, so you can join it at the army level, or even if you're in a corps or regiment, you can join those kind of smaller teams as well. But Maria's got a great kind of a story to tell, because you've organised the past 2 kind of Kama ski expeditions to Austria. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that at all?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so my first one was last year. So we wanted to set up a Kama ski concentration where we deliver distributed training. So it's quite difficult these days when we set up our own unit band trips to actually get your SF, your qualifications out of it. And it's been quite fun really this last 2 years, us all getting together, people you've worked from the past. I think it works really well.
The army are quite keen on adventurous training as a thing. It's kind of mandated for us to do adventure training as a team building exercise, and also pushing people out of their comfort zones
yeah.
as well
Yeah.
as a kind of training thing to get people to kind of bite the bullet and go for things that they wouldn't normally do. What qualifications can you get in skiing
In skiing,
as an army musician?
so for 1 week you get your SF1, and then you can move up to SF2, which you have some ski touring involved in that, and then you move on to your SF3, which is a whole week of ski touring, and then if you're ready you can move on to your instructor qualifications, where you can become SL1, ski leader 1.
Can you use them in when you leave the army? Could you use them to instruct people on Civvy Street type thing? So are they transferable when you leave the army?
The only one that's transferable is the ski leader 1, and you can get BASI 1 out of that, which basically means you can teach inside a ski slope in
So
the
actually-
UK.
And that's all paid for, isn't it? That's not.
Yeah, it's
that's
all
not-
paid for, yeah.
So there's plenty of stuff to do,
Are
basically.
you guys into skiing?
Yeah.
I'm about to
In
say,
fact,
you've recently come
I
back.
returned from the slopes yesterday to do this interview. Yeah, I've skied. I've been adventurous training throughout my army career, kayaking, hill walking, hill climbing, and we've mentioned skiing. It's wonderful opportunities and all paid for.
Yes.
So it's incredible.
Yeah.
But I've recently returned with the band of the Coldstream Guards who were in Val Thorens, Maribel skiing. So I've just returned from them, which I completed my SF2. A little bit of ski touring involved as well. I didn't realise you could ski uphill, but we discovered that in the last week. My legs hurt a little, but it's an excellent opportunity as well. Just to get away with the band for me, meet new people, team bonding, and it's obviously we had the self-catered chalet, so we had to look after ourselves. So it's interesting to see how people do this and how these people achieve. It's all about being together, and it makes a great band as well. It's not just playing together musically, it's being together, spending a lot of time together,
team
and working
building
as a team. So it's a great opportunity.
Well, thanks for those answers. I think we'll go on to our kind of like next and final question, which is from Fraser in Sunderland, and it is: do I have to own my own instrument to join?
No. The army will provide with high quality instruments. A lot of the individuals and the musicians within the band, they do have their own instruments. But the army will certainly provide you with high quality instruments when you get to Nella Hall and also when you get to your band as well. And they kind of have a shelf life for a certain number of years, because obviously there's a lot of wear and tear that goes on with the instruments.
Playing outside is a
Especially playing
natural
outside,
occurrence, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes we get caught in the rain on guard mounts and things like that, which is quite irritating sometimes. But but it's great that obviously your own personal instrument isn't affected that way.
Perfect.
Brilliant. I think that's all we've got time for questions today. But if you do have a question, having listened to the podcast, then please head over to Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Search for Corps of Army Music and fire us a question there and we'll get back to you.